When are you more thankful? When you are given something that you feel you worked towards and you deserve and you earned, or when you're given something that's a gift that you truly believe you didn't deserve but received anyhow? We're continuing in our Revealing the Messiah series, and this week looking at the story of Jesus going to eat in the home of a Pharisee, and a woman who is considered by the town to be so sinful comes and washes his feet with her tears and with perfume. And the Pharisees are watching this and they say, he doesn't know who's doing this. How can he let her wash his feet? What is going on? And Jesus very nicely, very clearly says, because she knows she was forgiven a lot. She's so thankful and she's so grateful. Meanwhile, all the people here think that they're good and they don't need forgiveness, they don't need grace. And so they don't have that same feeling of gratitude that she was showing towards Jesus. Amazing grace, scandalous grace. This is what we're talking about this weekend. And I bet you know which hymn comes to mind when we think about grace. Amazing Grace. It's the most famous, the most well-loved around the world. It's been in so many hymnals. It's the most recorded song of all time. That's how well-loved it has been for centuries now. And the person who wrote this, John Newton, truly understood the meaning of this grace, this scandalous grace. So when he was young, his mother died when he was 7. His dad was a sailor. He went to sea at 11. And if you know anything about sailing, it's not really a great life for many of them, especially back in the 1700s. He did all the things that sailors did. He eventually became a captain of a slave ship. And so he was bringing slaves around the British Empire and was just not living a very Christian life. And at some point, through a lot of things, including shipwreck and so on, he was converted. He found Jesus, and it was then that he realized he had received this amazing grace. And he spent the rest of his life being a pastor and also being an abolitionist because he truly wanted to stop the slave trade. And he worked so hard to show how people shouldn't be enslaved. And just a few months before his death, the entire British Empire abolished slavery. And so I'm sure that he was able to go to rest very thankful that that had happened. And as in the midst of all of these things he was doing, he was also a prolific hymn writer. And we have 6 of his hymns in our hymnal, but he wrote many, many, hundreds and hundreds of hymns, of which, of course, Amazing Grace is the most well known. I'm going to read you a couple verses. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. And here we go. This is the woman at Jesus' feet. This is John Newton as he's trying to abolish slavery. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Now, as it says, this has been recorded by people throughout time in many different versions, and I know that you're going to enjoy this one. So I hope as you listen, think of these words and think about the amazing grace, the scandalous grace that Jesus has for each one of us.